Hi, my name's Yvette and I want to tell you a story. The story is about a little girl. This little girl, throughout her childhood, was very sick. Was she was very sick. She was in and out of hospital. Her parents took her in and out of hospital many times with the pain in the stomach. She had the pain in the stomach and her chest. So we're talking about a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. It continued up until the child was 11, 10, 11, with this pain. And doctors couldn't find the reason for this pain, and her parents couldn't find the reason for this pain. It wasn't until she was 22 when they found out the reason of the pain was something called anxiety. So from the age of 6, 7, this child was suffering with anxiety, and how it showed itself was in this pain in the stomach and the chest. So the same pain continued until one day a doctor said to this person, what you're experiencing and the pain you experience is something we call anxiety. Now that little girl was me. And that's the journey that I started on, being very ill as a child. What the pain I was feeling wasn't fear. It may have been fear, dread of something going wrong. I don't know why I felt this dread. I don't know where it came from, but I had this dread that something might go wrong. And my parents spoke with me, my father, my mother, many doctors I went to see, my parents took me, and they couldn't find the reason. Now, the reason why it didn't stop when I was 11, but when I was in hospital, I heard one of the doctors speaking with my parents that said, this is the 7th time she's come to hospital with this pain, and we find nothing on the x-ray. We find nothing. The 8th time, we will operate. And I can remember being completely horrified, terrified by this, that they're going to operate on me, cut me open to see why I had this pain. So I learned at 10 and 11 to never talk about the pain again. And I never did. I never did. Not to my parents, not to my siblings. I never spoke about it again. But the pain was still there and getting worse. As I was getting older, it was getting worse. Throughout my teenage years, it was terrible because I was suffering with this pain and I was afraid to tell anybody in case they told my parents, and my parents said you have to have an operation or something in my teenage years. So my teenage years I was very lonely. I kept to myself because I had this pain, but I was afraid to share the pain. It wasn't until, as I say, in my early 20s, I decided to go and try and find out what this pain was about. And the specialist told me that the pain I was experiencing was something called anxiety. At first I was shocked because I thought, I've had this pain since I was 6, 7, 8. So that means I was experiencing anxiety as a child. And the doctor said, yes, children do experience anxiety. Once I'd got the diagnosis of anxiety, for me it was a positive thing because I had felt this pain for so long and there was no label for it. Now it had a label, now it had a diagnosis, now I was able to try and fix it. What did I need to do to fix my anxiety? So I went on a journey. I went on a journey to explore the many different ways I could fix my anxiety. I was told that deep breathing would help. I did a lot of deep breathing, and it did help for a very short time. I was told writing down my feelings would help. And again, this was very powerful, and it worked for a short time. I was told that I needed to speak to a therapist. So I went and spoke to many therapists, but the anxiety was still there. Then I thought to myself, maybe it is an operation, but where would they operate if it's anxiety? My head. I didn't need any brain operation, did I? This is what I used to say to myself all the time. And then one day the doctor said to me, you've tried all these other ways. The best way and the last way that's available for you is medication. I sort of thought about this. The thought had passed me by many times, but I dismissed it, trying to manage the anxiety by myself. Medication. So I began to take medication at 22. At 44, they discovered that they'd been giving me the wrong medication for the last 22 years. Because my anxiety was matched with something called depression, which I'm sure many of you have heard about. So I had anxiety and depression. And how did they know that it was the wrong medication? They found out it was the wrong medication because they were giving, the medication was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But my disabilities of anxiety and depression, and they are disabilities, they do disable your life. You can't do what you want to do most of the time because of either anxiety or depression, or both. So they are disabilities. They are the unseen disabilities that most people, which, unless we mention, unless we talk about it, people don't know we have. Silence disabilities. They are silent disabilities, but they are disabilities because they hinder, they stop us from fulfilling the potential that we have to do what we want to do through anxiety, or to do what we want to do and being stopped through depression, not being able to leave the house or leave even the bedroom. Many of you may know what I'm talking about. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you need to listen to this. 1 in 3 of us experience a form of mental illness. It can be a variety of mental illness that exists, but 1 in 3 of us throughout our lifetime will experience a mental illness. And if you've never experienced a mental illness, that a doctor said to you, you are suffering with anxiety or depression, it means that you will know someone. It could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your son, your daughter. You will know someone who is experiencing challenging or poor mental health. Now that, for a lot of people, can be quite frightening to know that it's 1 in 3 people. But it just means that we need to just be aware who's around us, who's in our circle, how they operate, do they disappear at times. Those times may be when they're experiencing depression and then reappear. It's just being aware of who's around us and how they behave. And you might pick up signs that this person may be struggling a little bit. You can be that friend, you can be that parent, you can be that partner that asks, are you okay? No, really, are you okay? So one thing, and the one thing I want to leave with you, maybe it's the second thing now, is that mental health matters. Your mental health needs to come first. more than anything else that you can think of. Your mental health needs to come first. Take care.